Hi, I'm Ange Peters and welcome to our Weight Management Wellness Series. I'm excited to take you through this content today and take a more back to basics approach to being healthy. I'm a certified personal trainer and holistic health coach from Canada, and over the years I've worked with a lot of different clients in just stripping back what it takes to actually live a healthy lifestyle so that it becomes more of a journey. And I mean, we know there's no shortage of products and programs and ideas around how you can actually manage your weight in a healthy way and live healthy, right? It's actually a $100 billion industry worldwide. So what we want to really establish today is what can be a game plan that you can take control of and take ownership of your health and feel like it's something that you can do. So what I want to go through with you today is a couple of things. I want to take a look at the actual nutritional guidelines, what is involved in creating a healthy baseline through food. Then we want to look at the actual energy in and energy out equation, because there actually is a bit of math involved when it comes to managing your weight in a healthy way. We're going to talk about exercise and the role it can play, and then my 5 VIP habits for living a really healthy life. So when we talk about nutrition, eating right means having the right quantities of food and having the right nutrients staggered throughout the day and not overloading the body just in one sitting. And one of the issues we face today is that we live a really busy lifestyle, and it's hard sometimes to get access to all the nutrients we need throughout the day. So to be really fit and trim, we need to have adequate doses of the right nutrients in smaller amounts throughout the day. So we're going to go through what that looks like. Now, there is a new food group in town, and we're very familiar with it because it consumes about 58% of the average person's diet today, and it's called ultra-processed foods. Now, these are foods that have a lot of different ingredients in them, and I often say to my clients, if you can't pronounce the food on the ingredient label, your body probably doesn't know what to do with it. So when we come back to this very basic approach with our eating, we need to really look at how many foods we're consuming that have this label on them, because those have been created. Often they just mimic the taste and look of food, but we actually call them food PHOOD. They're not even real food when our body comes to digest them. So we're led feeling full, but not for very long, and we're actually quite undernourished if this is part of the average diet that we're consuming. Now, I do want to mention a quick note on sugar, because sugar is probably the biggest problem we're facing today. You might remember about 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, there was a real push around removing the fat out of our products. And the food industry loved this. They came running with lots of products that became low fat, very enticing labels, and they actually really hiked up the sugar. And we've come out of that phase, and we know now today that fats actually play a really key role. And I'm going to go through all the things that they do for you in your body. But it's a good thing to take a look at in your own life, because the average person, the stats are that we consume 150 pounds of sugar every single year. So the American Heart Association has come back to suggest now that people intake less than 6 teaspoons per day, which would be about 24 grams on a label. And you might see on the slides there that there's a nutrition label for you. You can see that. We can see very clearly when we're eating packaged foods how much sugar is actually in that product, and you'd be surprised. It hides in things like spaghetti sauce and yogurt and even ketchup, very common things we might use every day that we don't imagine that would have this added sugar in it. So the first macronutrient we want to talk about, many of you know it, it's carbohydrates. It consumes the majority of our diet. It's not a hard nutrient to get because it's found in most foods, but it is the body's main source of energy. So we want to be choosing sources like whole grains and fruits and vegetables that have the fiber attached to them. Those are going to be your best choices of carbohydrates. Now, you want to aim for about 40 to 60% of your plate being carbohydrates. I'm going to take you through a real simple way to track this in a couple minutes. But carbohydrates provide us about 4 calories per gram. So calories are basically the energy you're using. It's what's fueling your life, right? So the carbohydrates are an easy nutrient for us to get. Now, what you'll see on the slide is we love to suggest a real simple portion control route, and that's just using your hand. So if you were to have a plate in front of you, carbohydrates should consume about the volume of a clenched fist, okay? So that's, if you were to look at your plate, that's what you're going to want to have present on your plate. And the nice thing about using your hand is it is relative to your body size. So my husband, for example, his hand would be a lot larger than mine, so he's going to have a larger portion of carbohydrates on his plate. And you'll notice as I go through the next couple of macronutrients, we can still use our hand to really help us with portion control. I do want to mention, since you're tuning into this to learn more about how to manage your weight, if you were looking to increase a loss in the body, you're going to want to decrease your carbohydrates. So most people, when they're in a weight loss program, they're going to be limiting the amount of grams they get of carbohydrates to about 100 a day, which is quite difficult. It means you need to increase the next two macros I'm going to talk about. But if you're somebody who is living, at an ideal weight for your body and you just want to maintain that, then you're looking between 150 to 200 grams per day. So the second category is protein. And if you've ever been involved in a gym or some kind of a program before, you know that this is the macronutrient that is often the hardest to come across and get into our intake each day, right? We have to actually plan to consume protein because it's not readily available all the time. So protein is what helps us grow the lean muscle in our body, which actually increases the metabolic rate in our body. It's going to help with repair and tissue development and red blood cell production. It's a very important macronutrient. So it also, like carbohydrates, offers 4 calories per gram. Okay, so it's going to help increase your satiety, which is important. If you've ever consumed a lot of carbohydrate-rich foods, you know that you're often hungry, right? Because the proteins and the fats, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, are what really help us feel fuller longer. So again, using your hand, if you had your plate in front of you, for women, you're going to just use the diameter of your palm. And men, same thing. Women often will do about 4 to 6 palm diameters of protein per day if you were to look at your plate or just to measure that out when you're eating. And a good ratio is about 0.4 grams of protein per pound of body weight. And the reason I'm telling you this is I want to teach you in a moment how you can really simply track all of this to, again, come back to a really honest look at what your current lifestyle is giving you so that you can actually achieve what your goal is. So the last macronutrient is fats, and this is the one that is the most misunderstood. It's essential actually for our body, especially for women, because it's very involved in our hormonal regulation. It helps our body to digest and assimilate what we call fat-soluble vitamins. So it's vitamins A, D, E, and K. And if we don't have fats in our meal, then our food that we're eating is actually not really absorbing in the best way. So when you go and eat that healthy salad, if you don't have some healthy fats with it, then some of those vitamins and minerals are actually not being assimilated into the body. So the one difference with fats is it actually is 2 times more concentrated than carbohydrates or protein. So it offers 9 calories per gram. So we're going to obviously have less of it on our plates. And again, coming back to the hand formula, you're going to use about a thumb size of fats per meal. Okay, so that's a nice, easy way to remember that. So this will probably equate to about 50 grams per day. And the bonus is it makes all of your food taste better. I think coming out of that decade where we really eliminated a lot of the fats, this is why people weren't really excited by their food. It was not fun to eat healthy because it didn't taste so good, right? So fats do play an important role that way. Now, the last thing I want to mention when it comes to nutrition is the importance of water intake. Your body is 70% water, so we need to constantly be refueling our water intake, and this actually is a really great way for people to reduce their calorie intake because the average person, if you're consuming a couple of juices or sodas per day, that's an additional 500 calories that you're probably not even thinking about. So substituting a glass of water in there is a really easy way to start. It's actually one of the very first goals I would love to give you when it comes to incorporating habits, and we'll talk about that at the end. But the goal with water is to consume about half your body weight in ounces. So think about that for a moment and definitely track it. I find with a lot of clients, they think that they're drinking a lot more water than they actually are. So to measure it and keep track of it for even a couple of days is a good way to take an honest look at where you're at. Signs of dehydration with water could be headaches, lack of energy, a lack of cleansing in the body, or a weaker immune system. Brain fog is a common one. So it's fun to find ways to increase your water, whether it's treating yourself to a brand new bottle or using some of our favorite oils to adding to your water to increase the cleansing factor. So using our metabolic blends, lemon sassy or grapefruit or lemon. I love to add 2 to 3 drops of those to every liter of water that I drink, and it's just a great way to encourage me to drink more water. So let's go through some math, okay? If you have goals for yourself this year, and let's say you have a goal weight you'd like to get to in the next couple of months, you need to understand the math and where you're at so you can plan where you're going. So if we look at the way the body works, and I mean, this is a little bit more of a top-line approach. There can be very specific reasons why some people don't find this math working for them, and that's where you really want to work with somebody one-on-one to address those. But for most people, we know that 1 pound equates to about 3,500 calories, okay? So when you have tracked your average food intake over the course of a couple days and you have a good idea of how many calories you're consuming, when you know that to lose 1 pound, it will take about a 3,500 calorie reduction over time, then that gives you something to work with. So if you were to approach weight loss through a program, you would want to reduce by about 500 calories per day. And I already gave you a simple suggestion with the water, right? If you were to replace a lot of the other beverages you're drinking, that can be a real simple way for people to start releasing some of that weight in the beginning. So in theory, if you eat less than the energy you expend, you're going to release weight. Now, obviously the opposite works, right? So sometimes we forget how long we've been living a certain lifestyle that contributed to weight gain, and we need to be patient with ourselves, knowing it can take some time before the body starts to release. So let's talk about energy out. You might be thinking, oh, this is just about that tough workout you have to do every day, but it's actually not. The body has several ways that energy comes out, and there's actually 4 ways that we know of. So the first is our resting metabolic rate. This is actually 60% of your energy output, and this is just being alive. Okay, so this is resting and breathing and thinking. There's actually quite a bit of energy that's needed for the body to do that. Then we have the thermic effect of eating. So I'm not sure if you knew this, but every time you eat, your body actually uses calories to digest that food. Now, the digestive system can be one of the toughest systems on the body if you're not eating really healthy foods. It can be very heavy and very taxing. Some of you might have experienced that feeling in your body. This is about 10% of the body's output. Then we have non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So this is actually fidgeting. This is sitting with good posture, like I'm trying to do right now. My body's actually burning some calories just sitting here talking to you, which is pretty cool. One thing I'd like to suggest for those of you that work at home is a standing desk. Because if you were to stand for even half of your day, you actually end up burning an extra 120 calories, research has found. So just through the act of standing instead of sitting, you can increase your output. And then obviously we have exercise. So exercise is going to be one of those things to live a healthy, vibrant life. You want to find something that you love. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. I mentioned I would like to encourage you to start tracking your food. And the reason we want to do this is there was a study done. It was done over the course of 6 months with 1,700 participants. And they found that those that kept a journal of the food that they were intaking and the movement that they had, they lost twice as much weight as the people that didn't track. So we know in life and in business or wherever you've set goals before, when you have a goal, the body believes it's possible. The mind believes it's possible. So it's good to be able to be real with yourself and know where you're at so that you can achieve those goals you have. So I want to mention 2 of my favorite tools for tracking, and they're both free. One is called MyFitnessPal. It's actually an app you can get on your phone. And it's amazing because you can punch in what common foods are that you eat every day. And we all have them, right? Those go-to breakfasts or lunches that we tend to have most days. So you can put those into the log. It'll save it for you. You can even, if you have a favorite healthier packaged food, you can actually scan the QR code on that product and it'll upload it into your journal for you. And it's all free. And I really love MyFitnessPal because it will create a graph for you at the end of the day to show you how many protein, carbs, and fats you're having each day. So it can really help give you a baseline. There's another one called the Super Tracker. It's by the USDA. And again, they're both free. So I would find a system that works for you. Using these app-based trackers, I feel, is very doable for people since most people have their phone on them throughout the day. So you can easily either take a picture of your food or just upload it through the code. So what I suggest when you start tracking is take 1 week and then divide it by 7 so you have an average day so that you can be really real with yourself. And remember our formula: to release 1 pound per week, you need to create a deficit of 500 calories per day, and whether that be through eating or exercise or both, okay? So let's talk about exercise because this is the second piece of getting back to basics. So we know that most studies have been done on exercise show us that a combination of cardiovascular and resistance training is the best approach. And this is really good news for a lot of us because we don't want to think we have to go to the gym and kill ourselves for an hour every day. We don't have time for that in our lifestyle today. So what I love to encourage people to do is grab some simple tools and head to the park. You're going to get vitamin D, you're going to get breathe in fresh air, and you really could do a very effective workout in 25 to 30 minutes tops. I do recommend when you're first starting out with exercise, invest in a personal trainer, somebody that can work with you for even just 3 sessions and give you some really great body weight exercises you can do outside, and simple things you need: skipping rope, pair of hand weights, a mat, a medicine ball, and your bottle of water. You're good to go. Gym memberships in the US have doubled since 2000, and we know that the rates of weight gain and obesity are headed in the other direction, right? So we're not seeing that, even though people have memberships to gyms, they're not making it out. So it's important to have a system of something you can do on your own. Now, here's something I want to really focus on, because becoming healthy means we need to fall in love with the actual journey of it, and it can't be this forced deprivation on ourselves. And one of the things I've seen work really well for people is to have a trigger habit in place, or some kind of a routine that they really look forward to. And one of my favorite ones to suggest is to create and schedule exercise into your calendar for 30 minutes a day, but then plan to blend up a delicious smoothie right after. It's something you look forward to. It's going to refuel your body. And so I want to focus specifically on our Trim Shake product today, because it's something you can utilize to make sure that you're replenishing your body in a very healthy way after your workout. There's actually a window of opportunity right after you exercise to refuel your body. And this product is amazing for that. And it's also going to encourage you to work out, because you're going to feel good. You blend up that smoothie, and it's going to make it more apt to happen. So you'll see up on the slide the flavors of Trim Shake, and occasionally doTERRA will introduce a limited time flavoring. So these are the basic ones that they have all of the time. And I love them because you can see here the breakdown on the Trim Shake. 1 scoop has 8 grams of protein. It's actually a blend of whey isolate and egg white, and it includes about 20 vitamins and minerals. And then we have the vegan version, the V-Shake, and it's going to be a blend of pea and amaranth and quinoa. And it has a good source of fiber as well. But what I really want to focus on with these shakes is that they don't have any of the garbage. And this is where we have to start looking at labels when sometimes we're thinking we're buying something healthy, right? And then we turn over the label and it's not so healthy. These shakes are non-GMO. They have no soy, no gluten, no sugar, no artificial colors or sweeteners or flavors, none of that stuff. So you can actually use it as a very good baseline after your workout. If you have done resistance training, I would recommend you actually use 2 scoops so that your protein intake comes up between 16 to 20 grams. That's a really good amount of protein to have after resistance training. But I love a lot of the recipes we have on doTERRA.com. You can see some up on the screen right now. They have fudgesicles. My kids love those. There's a ginger pear smoothie recipe. So you can really play around with this and customize it. But what you'll find is the most helpful is it removes some of the thinking involved in being healthy. And there are a lot of people who will actually use this as a meal replacement for breakfast, and also a great post-workout refueling nutrition. So I love those shakes. So I want to finish off with you talking about 5 of my VIP habits when it comes to creating this baseline for yourself. And the thing I want you to remember is that habit is always the goal, right? We want to get to a place where our lifestyle is kind of leading for us, where we don't have to think so hard anymore. And when you're making changes, it can feel overwhelming. So knowing that habit's the goal, discipline is the stage that happens right before habit kicks in, where you don't have to keep thinking anymore. So what I want to isolate out of this for you are the 5 things that you want to start building into your ritual until they become habit, so you don't think about them anymore. So the first one is meal prepping and planning. So we've talked about the eating and what's involved there. Planning to be healthy has to happen, because it won't happen by accident. You've probably heard if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you want to, again, establish where are you at right now, where do you want to go, and what are some easy things you can do each week around meal prep, foods that you love that fit within those nutrition guidelines that you can have on a regular basis. A lot of people will take a Sunday afternoon and they'll prep out their next couple of days of meals. That's a really great idea. The second thing, we talked about water intake today. Half your body weight in ounces every day. In fact, this is where most people will begin because it's an easier habit to adopt. And what you'll start to see happen as you build in one habit at a time. So let's say you just focused on water for 2 weeks. And by the end of 2 weeks, you were drinking half your body weight in ounces of water. That one habit is going to actually build some motivation for you to take on the next habit. And you'll start to, over time, feel really good and energized in your body and want to take on a little bit more at a time. So that's really key. Number 3 is deep sleep, having a beautiful ritual, using your oils. Perhaps you're diffusing our Serenity blend at night. Maybe you have a wind down routine of journaling before bed or having a bath with some Epsom salts and oils. Create something that's going to turn off the day so that during your sleep you're rebuilding. We know that during rest is where we actually really grow. So we want to make sure that we're really honoring the sleep that the body needs. Number 4 are your supplements. Now, I like to think of supplementation as, are you really in this or not? I think for people who portion out their supplements and they plan that every week and they actually take them throughout the day, those are people who are planning to be healthy. They're planning to feel good and to live a very high life of vitality, right? So if you are taking supplements right now, what I suggest when it comes to actually weight management, our Lifelong Vitality Pack is a must. It creates a beautiful baseline, especially when we know that so much of our food today is deprived of the nutrients our body's needing. We need to have that healthy baseline, and that Lifelong Vitality system is vital. The other 2 I recommend for almost anybody looking to feel amazing in their body would be Terrazyme, our bouquet of digestive enzymes. So Terrazyme is important because it's going to help all of the food that you're meal prepping and planning and putting effort into. It's going to actually help it digest and assimilate better. And you're not really what you eat, you are what you digest and assimilate. So we want to make sure that the body's able to utilize all of those nutrients. And then the third supplement I love to recommend is PB Assist, because our gut health is vital to our overall health. Our immune system is heavily linked to our gut and having healthy gut flora, so the PB Assist is really important. The 2 other ones that I'd recommend for active lifestyles would be Mito 2 Max, which is a very natural energy supplement. I love to take one in the morning. I take one about 10 o'clock every day because I work out at noon, and I just have this really nice steady energy throughout the day, and it has no caffeine. You won't get the highs and lows that you might get from other stimulants. It's a great supplement for being active. And then the Deep Blue Polyphenol. This is a really great supplement for anybody who's active on a regular basis and wants to support their joints in a healthy way. Okay, the last habit I want to mention is scheduling your exercise time and tracking your results. And for some of you, you may decide to do this right away. If you're a planner and you really want to anchor in success, because we know it needs to be scheduled, then you're going to plan out your workouts and you're going to get real with where you're at. You're going to use some kind of a tool like MyFitnessPal to track where you're at so you know where you're going. And again, you will start to really build that motivation to go on to the next habit. The most important thing is to fall in love with the journey. You know, it's not enough to say, I want to lose 10 pounds, because we don't feel that on a deep level. What we want to establish is, what is your why? Like, why do you want to live an active, healthy, vibrant life? Maybe you've had the gift of a wake-up call at some point, and you're at this point where you need to make some changes. Or maybe you're a parent and you want to actually model for your kids what a healthy life looks and feels like. Whatever your why is, let it be what guides you every day to make these changes, and not necessarily a number on the scale. And you'll fall in love with how good it feels to take care of yourself in this way.